Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, and it's time to spend all of this science, or try to. And try to is important because we're still limited by the 500 science limit. We can't actually spend any more than, 300 pretty much, until we upgrade this, and it's 3.38 million. So we're going to have to work on, increasing our funds. We're only about halfway there. So today we'll be doing some missions for funds. But let's see if there's anything we can spend on with the 14. Well, it's nearly 1500. So if it was 1500, we could spend 5 nodes. This means we can just purchase 4 nodes. So there's very, very little that's amazing here, unfortunately, because it's all in the 500 node area. But there's straightforward stuff that we can take. The inflatable heat shield, why not? That's also got the Space Y mods stuff in it as well, which is the larger stuff, the heat 5 and 7.5 meter heat shields, and of course the landing systems for those. So I think I'll probably be trying to have a play with those at some point. Should be interesting to see if we can design something that will come back down and not crash. Suicide burns are going to be amazing. Nothing in heavy command pods, and everything else is pretty limited. Specialized control, we could get that, but not much in there we absolutely need. A monoprop tank might be useful, but let's see what else we can get first. Advanced Metalworks, that's just got an inflatable airlock and that shielded docking port, so I think I'm going to take that one. Why not? Composites, got lots of little bits and pieces of stuff in it, but mostly structural, as you might imagine, from composites. But it does have this micro goo containment pod, and also a soil moisture sensor, and the largest airstream, basically the fairing system, the 3.75 meter version. So again, we may as well get that as well. That leaves us with 583, so 1 node left, and there's nothing up here in nuclear power or anything like that. It's that's the actual top end node that we eventually want once we upgrade our R&D department. And other than that, well, we get Gorsat there and a grabbing unit, so we could spend, yeah, I'm going to go for that, grab that. Advanced actuators, and there's atmospheric sensor and multispectral imaging platforms. Let's take that as well. Okay, so we're now down to 123 again. Well, we need to get going at some more science. But first of all, we need some more funds. So one of the first things I wanted to have a look at was, well, first of all, if we need any more astronauts, I think we should rescue them. They've been costing us 300,000-ish, and that's a bit too expensive. So we probably should consider rescuing Secan Kerman. And he's in low Kerbin orbit, so that shouldn't be terribly hard, but doesn't give us all that much money. Sorry, we'll have to leave you till later. We need money. So, map 15 asteroids passing the Eve's orbit with a Sentinel infrared telescope. Apo 5.8 billion meters, Peri 5.7, inclination of 2.1. That will give us 262, and we already have a probe out there near Eve. Let's see if it shall show me the orbit this time so I can see whether it's actually in range. I think it's called Expedition 2. Where are we? Viking 1, Expedition 2. There it is. Okay, so that's our ship, and this is the orbit it wants us to get to. I didn't see in that mission that it said, hey, it needs to be a new vessel, so using the existing vessel would seem to be appropriate. All that does say Apo 10, and didn't I say a lot less than that? Is it this one instead? Yeah, it looks like it's that one. Okay, so that's quite a lot different. So what's this one then? Is that a different mission? Kerbucks. Let's have a look, because that looks a lot easier than the other one. Okay, so map 18 asteroids passing near Juno's orbit. That's 15. No. Map 10 asteroids endangering Kerbin. That's 10. That's the one we actually want. And I get... What? I get... Really? 2 million and complete 3 million? Is that right? Let me check that again. 1 second. It does look right, so I may as well take it. It does say they do not need to be newly launched. And is that the Sentinel infrared telescope? That is the one we launched, right? I think so. Well, let's take it anyway. It gives us an advance of 2.2 million, so we can always send something else up there if we don't. That gives us 3.8 million. Okay, and now let's go out to Expedition 2, which should be nearby. Expedition 2, there it is. And we need to bring it down to 10.3 from 10.7. Thereabouts. So that's not going to be terribly much. I'm just hoping that I have enough fuel left in the thing. And of course, I'm going to need some kind of connection to fire the engines, but that's maybe somewhat coincidental. Depends where I am in the orbit, so we'll have to see that kind of approach. So, are you going to load for me? Hopefully you are. Yep. Nope, that's Expedition 2. Yeah, you do have. Yeah, you do have that telescope on the top. And it is a nuclear engine, so I do have quite a lot of delta V. So that won't be a problem. The main problem will be if I get some probe control back. Now, we could fix that with another change. But let's first of all see whether we can get to where we want to. So let's just assume we're going to be going around. And around about here is where we want to change things. So, oh, it's control locked. So I can't even add a maneuver node remotely until I get control back. I'm going to go for an upgrade before I do that. So let me just go back to the Space Center, because we should be able to upgrade our tracking station. And that may give us quite a bit of extra range. And of course, we've been given a large advance for this, so it shouldn't be terrible. So let's go to this 1.126, and you'll see the DSN power goes from 50 gig to 250 gig and unowned object tracking. So we'll turn that on, and that's our maximum level. Yes, it is. It's level 3, so we can go here, go back to our Expedition 2, and let's see if we can get a link to it now. There we go. We've been upgraded, so we now have a signal. Whether that will persist all the way around the orbit, I don't know. Where's the position? Well, it should do. We're all the way across the orbit from the sun at the moment. So, and we're on the inside, so we'll be catching, well, actually it might go a little bit further when we get to about here, but we should hopefully be enough. Let's just set a maneuver up here. And then we want to go retrograde. Bring that orbit in. Right there will do. And is it inclined relative to us? I don't think it is. No. Looks very, very, very similar to the orbit we're currently on. So, as you might otherwise expect, we can execute that next node. And it's going to take 140 meters per second. We have 161 in this remaining tank before we drop it and go to the nuclear engine. And there we go. We're on course. And we're going to head around the sun. Hopefully soon. There we go. So only 80 days away. We don't have any alarms in the list, and we don't have any stranded astronauts. So we can sort of take our time here. You can see the asteroids or known objects that are popping in and out of range of this craft. So if we ever need any, then, well, we know where to go for them. And you'll see I've already mapped some down here as well. And we are out of probe control. That is very annoying. But we can always just abort that. And we'll just wait. I'll actually just set up a different node down here when we'll be much closer and obviously have much easier time to do it. But I'll join you for that shortly. Okay, so doing this maneuver first rather than the other one is just a little bit less delta V. So I think I will probably do this one and then maybe lose the stage. So that's coming up, and using the last of our fuel pretty much. And there we go. And that's done it for that side of the orbit. Then we just need to take care of the other side. And I think to do that, we can just lose this stage now. There it goes. And that will all drift away by the time we get around to the other side of the sun anyway. So the other side is just right here. And we'll try adding that maneuver again, and hopefully we are in range. Let's bring this side in. And to about there. That seems more than close enough, I hope. And we'll execute that one as well. So spinning us around. Just nudge all that away. That should fly off. And around we go. Hopefully I won't lose the signal. 55%. But we should be getting closer and closer to home now, not further and further away. We do have to map 10 asteroids threatening Kerbin with an inclination greater than 37, so they're going to be quite far off the plane. But as long as we're in range, you can just speed up and watch that mapping happen while we're here in space. You don't have to go back to the Space Center or anything like that. And here we come into the second maneuver. Yeah, we still have 74% signal strength, no problem at all. And that is a little bit longer than the previous stage, but we have more than enough delta V to deal with it. So there shouldn't be any problem with that side. And we've already reached that orbit, so we can really shut off now if we wanted to. But let's just get ourselves to where we wanted to, rather than just leave it alone. And there we go, second maneuver done. So now let's just speed up time and let's see if it actually starts mapping things. It may take a little while. Let's see what happens when we're on maximum warp. There we go, 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10. So it's probably only going to take maybe one orbit of the sun, maybe even less than one orbit of the sun. But yeah, are we seeing them fully out of the plane? You'll see that one was right there, so that was obviously far out. And it may take a little time, so maybe not do that on camera. Let's skip forwards. And there we go. We finished mapping. So that did take a few years of orbits. It was quite slow, but you know, we don't have any Kerbals stranded or anything, so we may as well do that. And we're now at 6 million credits. So that's pretty amazing. And that will be enough for us to expand our Space Center. See, it wasn't that hard. Although I wasn't expecting a mission to pay out that much. Although that's probably to do with the difficulty, because it's 37 degrees off, so not very easy, i.e. you'll be out there quite a while. In any case, we're now ready to upgrade our research and development. Well, that's going to take us, I think that's definitely going to be the thing we need to do. Oh, look at that. Top end research and development. That leaves us with 2.633 million. We could get unlimited contracts, but that's not really all that important to me right now. We could get unlimited parts. Again, not really that important to me at the moment. Astronaut complex, that doesn't give us anything extra. I guess we could go for strategies, but I've never really used strategies all that much in a playthrough. I prefer to just go with the regular mission rewards. So, have we got any new missions now? Nothing terribly new in the mission stake, but we can get lots more science now that we've got that science, those areas sort of unlocked. Let me just have a quick look at the R&D stuff, because I'm definitely going to want that. So I'm going to need 550 science from something. Because in here we have the Rhino, stupidly powerful engine. The Mammoth, which is even more stupidly powerful. But of course, different sizes. Obviously, it's 4 combustion chambers instead of 1. And then there's the Mastodon, which is not as powerful as... It says the propulsion system is the pinnacle of power, but it's got less thrust than the other two. Has it got better ISP? 280 to 290. Yeah. 280 at sea level. So that is pretty good. 290 in vacuum. The Rhino goes from 205 to 340, so a wider range there. Okay, maybe for different reasons. This is half of the Rhino, but again is actually much better as far as sea level versus vacuum. So it depends really what kind of vessel you want to put on, but you want all of these, don't you? You just want them all. There is also the Space Y rockets in there, the Ratite and the Penguin. The Ratite is actually slightly better than the Rhino, and it's lighter, and it's also better specific impulse. So, well, apart from the vacuum side. So as a launcher, the Ratite would be actually pretty good, I think. And of course, we've got the SRBs as well, and the stack separators. So we definitely want that node. The high performance fuel systems are the really large tanks, nothing excessive in there. That is the Gravioli, negative Gravioli detector. I've already got that, I think. That'll be something we need to put onto another vehicle. Not that concerned with this. Or is that a... That's a Science Junior, isn't it? But Science Micro, so that'd be nice. That's another 550 though. That was the hub max I was talking about in the previous episodes about building stations. Multi-point connector, very handy for that. You'd probably want to put docking ports on all sides of it or something along those lines, and then start to attach other modules as you start to build out a station. The main downside to using that, or using much larger stations than that, is that Kerbal Space Program has never been great at dealing with lots of connected modules. It slows the calculations down, it has all kinds of issues around that, and very often you kind of want to get a welding mod to actually really attach them all so it thinks they're all one part. Once you're happy with them, that is, you want them as one part or as little parts as possible. So that is a very useful thing. So I want all of these now. I want all 4 of those now. That would be 2,000 science. More robust rovers, don't really care too much about that. Here is another very important node. This is the one with the negative Gravioli detector. I don't already have it, I do need this one. But more importantly, it has the ability for us to gather fuel while we're out there. And it outputs monoprop, or oxidizer in the case of this. And yeah, so we can use those to sort of refill our tanks. And those are generally used by the mods as well. I forget the name of the mods, but there's 2 different fuel mods that can use them. So if we're going to get more science, we need, I think I can probably do a mission to just grab all that science from the local area, you know, the Moonum Minimus. But we also want to set up alarms for Juna and Eve again. So let's just set Juna. And let's plot that, see how far away it is. So let's add an alarm. That's 2 years away, pretty much. Now, how about Eve? Oops, that's just a duplicate of the same alarm. I have to plot it first. Eve, add an alarm. Yeah, 223 days. That's not too bad, actually, for Eve. Moho will require a huge amount of delta V. That's the only downside to it. In fact, it's more the delta V when you arrive at Moho. You can fly past it quite straightforwardly. And it's in 40 days. Yes. Slowing down at the other end, I think it takes about 8,000 delta V. It's not easy at all. And then we've got Joule. And let's plot Joule. When will that actually take us there? 38 days. That's actually not too bad. If we can build a large enough launcher, we could send it out to Joule. Not quite sure the delta V requirements for all the different moons out there. So I should probably have a look into that before going there. However, we can rebuild our very basic crafts now, the one we sent to the moon and to Minmus, with the universal storage expansion and lots of that extra science. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so this was our early lander design, and I think this was the moon one. I could be wrong, but this is the one we had anyway, and it comes in forwards, comes back into the atmosphere forwards, with the extra fuel tanks sort of hidden away, and you'll see the parachutes are there. Once this stage falls away, the parachutes are essentially backwards, and we're coming in face first essentially, unlike most sort of landers. So we could do that design. However, universal storage will allow us to compact this middle stage quite a bit more, and of course we have other types of engines now. So that will be 2,400 delta V on the lander stage and 7,200 total. That will cost us 72 grand though. So let's take a look. Don't save that. Let's take a look at the modifying our expedition ship, the manned one. So here's our Expedition 4 craft, and first thing I'm going to do is just change this to Expedition 5 because we're going to be making some modifications to it. Otherwise it's pretty good as a craft. So if we just take off the rocket section, here is our lander design, and it was for Ike, if you remember rightly. I had all these landing legs, which do a great job in fact, but the lander now is 5,000. So even if we went to go to Minmus, we could hop around all over the place with this thing, and I'd be quite happy doing that. We also have the universal storage sort of section of this as well, and all of that is then recoverable, of course. So there's a bunch of extra science we've got available to us now, science experiments that is, we haven't had previously. So GoreSat is there, that's the original, and that can only be used from high orbit, so we can get the version of that from universal storage. We should move this delta V out of the way. So there we go, 16 grand. Atmospheric sensor, well, if we're going to go to Kerbin's means we don't need atmospheric stuff. Multispectral imaging platform, and now it's in the way again. Let's move it over there. Where's the multispectral imaging platform? There it is. So used to study the surface and composition of planets, used only in orbit, fair enough. So, you know, maybe we want to think about GoreSat and the multispectral imaging platform, and what's this last one? Soil moisture sensor. Yes, is that an... Yeah, low orbit. So let's just take that and GoreSat and the multispectral thing. And then what I think we can do is let's get rid of the press mat temperature stuff. We don't need that, clearly. And we don't need mystery goo. We'll come back to why. Magnetometer boom we'll keep. Mystery goo we can, again, throw away. Orbital telescope we'll keep. Throw another mystery goo away. And we pretty much have space for 4 now. I think we've thrown, yeah, 4 away. So we have room for all of these. So let's just put in the soil moisture sensor, 1. And the GoreSat, 2. Multispectral, that'll be 3. And what's going to be number 4? Maybe another Science Junior? I certainly don't have any more universal storage stuff. Oh, beg your pardon, there is another thing that you can actually get. Universal storage. Have I got the science bay? There it is. So this is just an empty container, essentially. So it's 1,000. But you can put other stuff in it. So let's just put that there. And you can open the bay doors, and you can see it's essentially a little mini science bay in there. Alright, so let's go back to science for a second. And let's look at the really expensive but tiny goo. Yeah, I'm not sure whether we're going to be using these, but I just want to purchase them now anyway. Ooh, 22 grand to actually put them on a rocket though. The entire rocket's not going to be about 100 grand. We've already got the goo experiments for this, so I'll tell you what, let's just take that off again and put a goo version that's one of these. So that's only 2 grand. There we go. All right. So that will do us for science, or at least that will do us for the science that we can put in universal storage. There is other things as well, though. The core drill, don't think helps. That's an atmospheric planet stuff. GoreSat, we've already got. Little brother, we've got an orbital telescope. I'm not sure if that's different. We've already got magnetometer boom and the multispectral stuff. We've got RPWS. Oh, that's the orbital telescope, so this is different. But I got a feeling this is huge. Let's just grab that for a second. Yeah. You need to launch that by itself. You've basically got a full space telescope there. We could do seismic stuff, but I'm not going to do that just yet, I don't think. Submersible stuff we don't want. Soil moisture sensor we've already got. And yeah, laser light imager. That would have to be pretty low down though. Let's grab it. And it would have to fit somewhere in here. Maybe not. I'm just wondering, is it going to be in range if I put it up here? Might not be. But we'll see. We'll give it a try. Let's just put it there. And the underside signal intelligence satellite. Let's buy that as well. That's still huge. That's not undersized. Clearly. And that's pretty much it. So this will get us that lovely science. Probably from multiple places on Minmus. I don't think we need to do anything else with this now. It's pretty much intact. We've got everything we need to come back. we've got lots and lots of parachutes, of course, as we previously had. Enough room for multiple Kerbals. Maybe we want the seismic accelerometer. So let's just put that as well there. Is there any other experiments? I don't think so. The ones we already have. Surface scan is useful, but again, it's huge. And usually used for different things. Yeah, nothing else really that I want. Nope. Maybe the surface scanning module. Just put it there. Okay. That might even survive re-entry. We'll see. So let's put this back together and see if we can head over to Mimbus. Okay, so MechJeb has finally given us ascent guidance because we've researched it. So why don't we give this a go and see how well or badly it does for vanilla. So what are we going to want? Auto stage, maybe not. Let's just turn that off for a second. Auto deploy solar panels antennas, yeah, I'll do that myself. Auto warp, yeah, that's fine. Classic ascent profile. So assault, orbit altitude and orbit inclination are perfectly fine. Show the navigable guidance, engage the autopilot, and go, I think. Okay, so now MechJeb should have control. We have Dilip Kerman, who's the pilot, who, well, technically MechJeb's doing it at the moment, and Bob. Bob is still a level 2 scientist, so we've got him on board for dealing with all the science stuff and get him a bit more experience, perhaps. We'll see on that front. I think he's already got that experience from maybe Minmus, so yeah, it may not be as good. In any case, we need to head up into orbit, so I'll see you up there. Okay, so I'll spare you all the stuff how we got out here. We're approaching Minmus. It's just the usual kind of ascent and head over to Minmus using Hohmann transfers. So I've got all the various science equipment out, and we've got some data already on board, and that will do perfectly when we get back. We just have to decide to basically enter orbit around Minmus. So that's just going to be the usual thing. I'm just going to use MechJeb to do it while I talk. And yeah, we'll just have a region where we come in quite close, and then we'll have the apoapsis out at 77 kilometers. So that should give us a fairly easy selection of landing sites, and a fairly easy time of it getting in here once it decides that we can. There we go. Alright, so we're going to come in for this maneuver. Sightseeing now is probably going to berserk when we hit low area, so I'm just going to skip forward to that part and let's collect some more science on camera. Okay, all done. We're in orbit. Let's see what we can actually do. So again, we can scan. I wish X-Science would have slightly easier to see figures. They're quite hard to see, particularly that one. That's awful. But a lot of these are like 16, 20 science, so we should just get them all as much as possible. And of course, there should be more available once we get close to the surface, so we'll get all of these. Are you going to show me the soil moisture scan? So, multispectral, there it is. It's behind all the rest. Okay, so we've got lots of science, and now we can just think about landing somewhere. So to do that, let's just go around to the Apo. And we're going to add a, in fact, no, we're just going to warp there. In fact, we need to get so much more stuff done. I will probably do the on-orbit stuff when we get back off the surface. Let's just quit that for a second before it drives me demented. And there we are. So we're at Apo now. So I'm just going to discard this stage by choosing a sort of landing site, maybe onto the flats here. That seems reasonable. So let's just turn on SAS and let's just fly this thing a little bit more manually than using MechJeb. You can actually get MechJeb to do a landing. Yeah, we do have landing guidance. Landing guidance, I have various issues with it whenever I try to use it, so I generally try to fly the landings manually. So we're just going to bring this in, and and that may be a little bit too far, but that's perfectly fine because we're going to be losing this stage anyway. In fact, yeah, let me just point prograde, and I'll get to around a bit here instead, because obviously the moon is rotating as well, so we need to come in over those flats rather than into them to get some kind of decent approach. There we go. So let's just get past the top of this hill or something along those lines. That'll do. Nothing excessive. And then we're just going to warp in this way, landing on the day side, of course, just making it a fair bit easier for us. And you'll see already the moon's rotation, because we're quite high here, is going to bring us towards these flats. There we go. And we're coming in now. So again, let's just warp further forwards, and I'm going to change to surface mode and point retrograde, and we'll use the last parts of this. We've got 900 meters per second available. We don't need anywhere near that much, but we can use it to bring us to essentially a halt over the surface by doing this. So in we come, and anywhere on this surface will do. We don't have to be too specific. So here, let's just bring ourselves to a halt. Below 100 now. It's really easy to land the Mimus, of course. And I'm going to leave it there, and then basically get rid of it. There we go. And that can carry on a collision course. Then just reorient us to make it a bit easier for me to land. We can toggle the landing gear, extend that outwards, and then let me just reorient just so that I can use A and D, and we just want to push this way just by holding A with the retrograde marker. There we go, and that will point us nearly straight up, and we can just tailor that a little bit. There we go. So that's pointing straight at the retrograde marker. You can use Smart ASS as well, which is sometimes useful and should be absolutely fine on Minmus. So if we turn off our regular SAS surface up velocity vector, that'll keep us pointing straight up no matter how we're actually falling. And almost seems like a windmill. Not so much from what we actually use it for. So that's fine. We're coming in towards the surface. So I guess we could see if we're going to get anything. Oh, can't be done right now? Because we're not in orbit anymore, perhaps? In any case, that's fine. And let's get it down a little bit closer to the ground, shall we? There we go. Impact in 34 seconds, and we've got 29-second burn ahead of us. Again, not terribly hard to actually do that. So let's just. It says impact in 27, but we'll actually catch up on it. It always happens, and I can just nudge this back towards falling straight down just by moving off to this side a little bit. Not that that will matter terribly. There we go. Still, it'll hold the surface velocity vector. And now it's 12 seconds with 42 seconds. So as you can see, it's more than powerful enough for this. So as we come towards the surface now, and coming in, there's our shadow for a pretty much textbook touchdown. 0.8, 0.7, 0.6. Turn off the engines. And down we go. So we're on the surface, back to Nimbus again for some more science, hopefully some new science. Let's take a look at what we can do now. So laser surface scan, and does that give me any kind of options? Let's just see what they are on the dialog window when they open. Seismic scan, mystery goo. Mystery goo, please. Yes, magnetometer. Can't be done right now. Okay, no problems. I may need to reset a lot of the equipment with our scientist. So 30 science for mystery goo, 60 for seismic scan, another 20 for laser surface scan, and that's pretty much it for the Great Flats. Now I can go out and collect all that stuff again, of course rerun the experiments, and we can do the hopping that we normally do on Minmus to actually get more science. I'm not going to show that on camera. I may do that between the episodes, or just leave them out here and occasionally come back to it to get more science in between other missions. So that's it for this episode, I think. We've done quite a bit. We've got millions in credits due to an asteroid mission, quite a hard asteroid mission as far as time taken, but otherwise pretty good for us to expand the base, get a much better tracking station, get a much better R&D, and now we're pretty much into endgame. And this is sort of where it's sort of up to you, really, what you want to do from here. That the missions aren't terribly hard anymore, as far as Juno and Eve are concerned. What I may well think of doing next episode, however, is try for a dual mission. That'll require quite a lot of Delta V to get out there and to slow down and go around the various moons. We don't tend to get a lot of missions for it. Certainly not for the moons, however, that I've seen so far. So maybe we'll just use that as a sort of science mission. That might be an idea. If you have any extra ideas, feel free to put them in the comments below. And if you've liked the episode, feel free to like, subscribe, and share as normal. Otherwise, I will see you next episode for some more Kerbal Space Program. Thanks for watching.